Welcome to Whippoorwill Holler. I'm Miss Lori, and this is Mr. Brown. We live in the hills of Arkansas. We love the Lord. Keepers of the old way, but accept some of the new. We love to cook, and we love to eat. We love to garden. It's in our blood. It's how we stay sustainable and fill our pantry. We do a lot of canning and preserving. We live a sustainable life. We love our family. We work hard. And every once in a while, we like to dance. So y'all join us. Okay, let's get our cake mixed up. Now I've got my oven heating to about 350 degrees. We're going to start out with a half a cup of all-purpose flour. And no, that's not very much flour. Remember, this is a recipe just for two. We've got a half a cup of white granulated sugar. And about 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt. And we're just going to stir these dry ingredients up real good. And then we're going to move over to the stove and we're going to heat up our liquid ingredients to pour over our dry ingredients. We've got a 1/4 a cup of butter and a good tablespoon of cocoa powder. Now what we want to do is we would just want to heat this up really good. And I've had 1 cup of just hot tap water is all that was. And we're just going to stir this up till the butter's melted good and everything's combined. Your cocoa's mixed together good, no lumps, your sugar's dissolved. We don't have to bring this to a boil or nothing like that. You just want to get it good and combined and everything good and hot and melted. And then we'll turn our burner off and we're going to pour this over our dry ingredient. Okay, I'm going to slowly stir this hot mixture over our flour mixture. And you just keep stirring, it'll all come together. This recipe honestly will feed about 4 people. Because if you want to make something like this, just a small dessert, here is a tablespoon and a half of buttermilk. If you don't have buttermilk, just use milk or cream, whatever you got. But if you're having a dinner party or something, you just got like 4 people there, you just need a little dessert. This works out beautifully. This would feed 4 people, really and truly. A slice apiece. Here we got 1 egg yolk. Just the egg yolk, not the whole egg, just the egg yolk. And I'll have my recipe, of course, down in my information box below the video with all my other information. That's always where my recipes are. I've got 1/4 a teaspoon of baking soda. Then we're going to put in just about 1/4 of a teaspoon of vanilla. And there it is. And I can tell you right now, this batter is delicious. And that's how the consistency of your batter right there. Now I'm going to be using about a 9x9 pie plate's what I use for it. If you have a square, a 9x9 or even an 8x8 square baking pan, you can use that. Whenever I make this, I just always use my 9x9 pie plate. And we're just going to put our batter in there. And I did spray my dish. Yes, I did. I almost forgot to say that. I sprayed my dish. Now, this is not a brownie recipe. This is just a really thin, very moist, yummy, chocolatey cake. If you wanted to say that it's a consistency of maybe a cake like brownie, maybe. But a Texas sheet cake, whether if you make a big one or small recipe, it's thin. It's a thin cake with the most delicious icing on top. You eat it while it's warm and put you some good old vanilla ice cream on top. They're just ain't nothing any better. So just spread it out in your baking dish. Now you could have also maybe combined some pecans in with this batter if you wanted to. So I'm going to put this in my 350 oven for about 12 to 15 minutes. I'm going to check it at 12 minutes. Okay, while our cake is in the oven, we need to go ahead and make our icing, because we will be putting this on top of the hot cake as it comes out. I've got 2 tablespoons of butter. I've got 1.5 tablespoons of, you can either use milk, you can use buttermilk, or you can use heavy cream. Either way. I've got 1 good tablespoon of cocoa powder. And you just want to keep stirring this so that it don't scorch. Get it all blended up good. And I've got 1 cup of powdered sugar. So we're going to stir all this up, and we're going to keep stirring it. Now, you don't want this to come to a full rolling boil. What I do is I watch it, and when it starts like this little lava bubble, like blub blub bubble, then I'll turn it off, if that makes sense to you. But you just don't want it coming to a full all-out boil. So just get it stirred up good, and then once you just see that little puff, like bubble on top, then you want to turn it off. But you want your icing to be warm, and you want your cake to be still hot coming out of the oven when you put this over your cake. Our cake is out of the oven, and anywhere that I put the toothpick in is good and done. It did take about 15 minutes in my oven. Now we're going to take our icing. And we're going to take it and we're just going to pour it over the top. I'm telling you, this is the best stuff. And what it's going to do is after it sets up, it's going to set up a little bit kind of like a thin fudge topping is what it sets up as. So if you've ever ate a Texas sheet cake, you know how the topping goes, how that fudge icing sets up. So just spread this out all over your hot cake. And you can look at this and you can tell that this would be a good size for 4 people, because you could get 4 good slices out of it if you had, a couple people over for supper or something. You didn't want to just make a big old Texas sheet cake. But you make this and keep it warm and serve it up with a dollop of vanilla ice cream on top. Oh my goodness. Can't go wrong with that. We're just going to take some pecans that I had crumbled up. If you've never seen my video where I pressure canned and canned my pecans, you need to go over and watch that. In fact, I'll put the link down below if you haven't seen it. This is some of my canned pecans, and they taste wonderful. Here is our cake. You know, everybody knows how good Texas sheet cake is. But so many times it's like, it's just so big. It's just me and Mr. Brown. We can't eat a whole Texas sheet cake. Now, yeah, some people say, oh yeah, it's so good I could eat a whole one. There's no way we could eat a whole one. When your kids leave and, everybody's growing up, you're just not feeding the people that you did before. So you become empty nesters and it's just you two. So after feeding so many people, you've got to adapt to only feeding 2 people. So I love coming up with these recipes and finding these recipes for cooking for 2. Because I know there's a lot of y'all out there that's in the same predicament, trying to figure out how can I just cook a really good recipe for just 2 people, or even just 1 person, and maybe have the leftover for supper the next night. So a lot of y'all been asking me about these recipes for cooking for 2, and I have some other videos of recipes cooking for 2. So I thought, I got to get back on this wagon and do some more recipes like that. And this is a recipe that I've done before, and I get big brownie points with Mr. Brown when I make this. He loves Texas sheet cake, and I do too, but we can't eat a whole one. So when I make this, big brownie points with Mr. Brown. And tacos. When I make tacos, I get brownie points for that too. Mr. Brown loves tacos.
So this is my favorite job. I get to taste everything. And I've ate a lot of this.
And it's warmed too.
It's warm and calling apart and gooey, yummy. You said you downsized it for 2, huh?
Yeah.
Did a big old sheet cake?
Like I did last time.
Mm-mm-mm.
Is it larapin?
I think that's more than larapin. That's good stuff. Man. You know what that makes me want to do, don't you?
What?